Hey, so I've got a topic that I've been writing about um, called Journal Synchronicities, Pluto and Psychological Transformation. So I've been keeping a journal since last year, winter, and I'm coming up on 3 seasons deep. So I started seeing some pretty damn interesting synchronicities popping up. Um, and today I discovered that they're all based around Pluto. I've been studying Mars, Scorpio, and Pluto a lot lately, and it's led me to some really interesting realizations. So right here, I have a photo of a journal entry that I made on the first day of Aries, 3/20, March 20th, and it was a crossover date, 3/20 to 3/21, because I was hanging out at night with one of my friends, and it was a pretty decent night. Um, it was actually pretty frustrating too, because all day we were wasting my gas, not figuring out where we were trying to go to get plans. Um, but I'm built to let shit slide, so it doesn't bother me in the long run. A lot of my friends' plans fell through. He was supposed to give me more money than he did for gas and for things that he owed me. So that kind of dampened my mood because I needed to spend more money than I wanted. And if you're familiar with Pluto, then you understand that Pluto's connected to money. We can call it debt transactions, obligations. So I let that shit slide and we got to the club, which was cool for an hour. Then we decided to split up for a bit, which I'm cool with. I like exploring, and so does he. But yeah, I texted him and I was like, or something happened where we decided to meet up outside. And then we met up outside. We were in the courtyard. We're talking for a bit. Cool. He goes off to take a leak. I'm chilling. He says he'll be right back. Okay, he'll be back. I'm sitting there for about 30 minutes. Every 10 minutes, I'm getting a little, like, okay. Now I'm getting a little upset. Where is he? Is he okay? So I'm texting him and I'm calling him. And he says that he's been inside. So you can imagine I'm trying not to get pissed off at this point because I just want to keep the peace and have a good time. But his tone is like, he's kind of like annoyed that I'm hitting him up, asking him where he's at. Like, dude, you could have came back. Like, why did you just leave me? But I keep that in my head and I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's just move on. So I try going back into the damn club to meet up with him. Or we meet up outside, whatever, and we're walking back into the club. Now, we take the side entrance where there's a ticket master and a ticket person. And, we asked the dude outside if we just show the wristband, can we get back in through here? He says, yeah, go ahead. So the ticket girl inside, my friend is ahead of me and he flashes his wristband at her and he walks in and walks past her, whatever. But she's a little flustered. She's like, hey, come back here. But he doesn't listen. And I'm caught up in the moment too, so I try doing the same thing. I just flash my thing and I go in. And I try to go in, but I'm also a nice guy. So when she stops me and she's like flustered and panicking, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm showing her my wristband. Now, for some reason, it doesn't click in her head. Like, she's giving me an overly hard time here. Like, lady, you're the one that gave me this wristband an hour or two ago. Look at my face. Remember it and let me the fuck in. Shouldn't be an issue. In pre-2019 world, they would have just been like, okay, cool, I get it, go in. Or don't do it again, but go in. She gave me a hard time. She wouldn't let me in. So I walked back out. I'm split from my friend again. And I'm pissed off. Because I'm like, what's going on here? So I get ready to walk to my car. And I text him. And, at this point, his friends came, and he's with them now, and he's chilling with them. So I'm extra miffed because it's like, okay, I'm getting shut out here. So I text him and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm going to my car and I'm just gonna chill there. And when you're done having a good time, you can meet me at my car and we'll go home. So he starts saying, no, don't do that. And he comes back out and I'm like, dude, I'm still gonna do it because I'm not having fun. You've been acting weird. You split from me twice. These people aren't letting me in without a hassle. And you've got your buddies with you that you said that you said that your friend's girlfriend was talking shit about me. And it's like, now you're chilling with them in the same day. And it's like, or she said that weeks ago or something, but I don't want to see them if that's who they are. So I tell him, these are 3 L's, dude. I'm going to my car. You just hit me. You come back when you're done. And that he did. And that was that. Now this is a new slide. This is 4 months later, from March 20th to July 19th. 4 months on. That's an exact trine in astrology. From Aries to the end of Cancer, a few days before it goes into Leo. So, I'm sorry, that's not an exact trine, but it's off by about 3 or 4 degrees. Still a trine. So anyway, on 7/19, the script flips. I'm at home minding my business. My friend wanted me to come out and hang out. It was a party at our mutual associate's house. I can't even call these people friends because of the way they are. And you'll see why. But, so I'm at home just having a good time reading books, scrolling through Facebook, talking in the group chat. And it's about 2 a.m. maybe when our chat gets a message from my friend. And he says, hey, where are you? And I was just goofing off. I was like, let me answer him even then. I said, I'm at home. But he said, no, I'm looking for the people that he was with. And I said, oh, damn, dude, what happened? He said, I can't get in touch with them. I've been trying to call them. They won't answer their phone. And they left me. So I'm thinking to myself, in the moment, I'm getting pissed off because it's like, you don't fucking you don't leave somebody that you came with, especially in the city at 2 a.m. He doesn't have you took him there. You're supposed to bring him back because he doesn't have a car. He doesn't have a bike or any mode of transportation. It's a dangerous city at night. And that shit's happened to me before where people just leave me. And, I there was one time I was at a party. I left at maybe like 12 a.m. or something, because it got shut down by the cops. And I didn't know my way around. So from about 12 a.m. till about 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., that's when I got home, because I got lost and my phone was dead or nobody was there to help me. You know, so I've been through that, where your friends supposedly, and they just abandon you. So I got pissed off. I was like, what the fuck, man? Nobody's supposed to do that. So in between, while I'm trying to figure shit out for him, the guy that picked him up and took him there answered in the group chat, and he gave a bullshit excuse. He was like, "Oh, we couldn't find you," or whatever, some lame little excuse. And I got pissed off at him. I told him straight up everything I just said. I was like, you don't do that. You don't leave somebody. And I called him a whole bunch of names, and I made him feel bad. And he finally, I don't know, he said he was going to get my friend an Uber, or he was going to pick my friend up or whatever. And they got him back to his house. Now, keep in mind, this is about 4 people that he went with. Now, the 2 people who own the home and stay there, they started acting super friendly. Or the guy was mad quiet, but the woman was like trying to be apologetic, and she was like, "You could sleep here for the night." Basically, smoke and mirrors. We got caught with our tail between our leg, and now we're going to try to make things better. And that's just, that's where I do side with Freud, and I'm like, okay, people are animals. We're trying to shed that off, but we still got that dog in us. So, I was texting my friend the whole time, trying to keep his spirits up. And I'm like, dude, these people aren't your friends. They're not my friends. And I've been saying that to myself and to you for about half a year. They're selfish, and they're opportunistic. They're not friends. And he started getting the picture. He was like, yeah, I'm done with them after this. They're just pretending, blah, blah, blah. So when I looked at 320, the night that I got the shit end of the stick from my friend and his friends, the moon was in a square to Pluto. When I looked at the chart of 719, the moon was in an exact trine to Pluto. Now, I don't expect a lot of people to watch my videos or understand why I'm referencing the moon, but the simple way to put it is that the moon is the mediating planet between the Earth and the rest of the stars. It's associated with water. Water is associated with mirrors. And you might say, well, Venus is associated with mirrors. That's true. Venus is also a sea goddess. Venus is also associated with the moon, with feminine energy, the archetype. And just astronomically speaking, the moon is the first quote-unquote planet that we meet. It's the interface between the rest of the astral world and our quasi-physical world. So it acts as a reflector of the energies. Another way to see that I've mentioned before is that the moon is symbolized by the rainbow, whereas the sun represents pure white light, which is an amalgamation of all the 7 colors. The moon is the diffraction of white light into the 7 different colors. So it's division through unity, or unity throughout division, whatever. But that's why I reference the moon. It's an activator of the hour-to-hour energies. So on both nights, on one night it squared Pluto, which is a bad aspect. It makes things hard. It squeezes the juice, so to speak, out of the soul. So if you have good Pluto energy, you're not going to feel it as roughly as if you have bad Pluto energy. The trine, on the other hand, is going to be good Pluto energy in general. It's going to be encourage the kind of oiling and greasing of that Pluto energy, so things go smoothly and progress and grow under that archetype. So what's the archetype of Pluto? It's transformation, it's chain breaking, or it's being chained to things. Now here's an interesting thing about Mars, which is the original planet of Scorpio, and Pluto is an augmentation of that. I don't want to get too deeply into it, but I've had a feeling for several years that Mars is actually a feminine planet. Why is that? Because Mars represents the blood. It represents red things, first of all. So it represents the blood. Where's the blood? Inside the body. It only vaguely shows itself on the surface of the body through pigmentation, through the reddish tone of the skin, through the veins. So where else do we see the color red in the world? Underneath the surface of the earth, the magmic core. So we see that Mars is associated with the underworld. Needless to say, when we look at Pluto, we also see that Pluto is the deity of the underworld. Now let's reframe things for a moment, and let's say that what we call the overworld, our day-to-day reality, the Earth's surface, is the underworld from the point of view of the astral kingdom. Because the astral kingdom is where we all want to go. That's the heaven. Remember, heaven is another word for the sky, for the cosmos, for the above, the real overworld, the place that we were forsaken from because of our attachment to Mars nature, to conflict, to strife, to struggle. And of course, the part of the human story is that we're trying to regain access into the garden, into the summer lands, into the heaven. So the reality is that this overworld of planet Earth is the underworld. This is the world of shadows. This is the Platonic cave allegory. We're in the cave as we speak, moment to moment, day to day, life to life. This is why we don't have immediate access to knowledge. We have to struggle to learn because we don't understand the world around us is shadow form. So when we talk about going inward, we talk about going into the cave. We talk about going into the Plutonian experience as well as the winter experience, the earth element. And this is why earth element, Saturn, has a close association with Pluto, because while Pluto is associated with colors like red and black, so is Saturn. It's associated with blue and black, green. So these planets share an identity to an extent. But when we go inward and we're in the interior of the earth. Now, what else goes into the interior? What else penetrates the surface of things? Well, swords penetrate skin. And what's one of the organs that's associated with Pluto and Mars? The sex organs. One penetrates the other. One bleeds monthly, periodically. And it bleeds because it has a sacrifice to make. It has a blood pact. What's that blood pact? The sin of procreation. And that sin of procreation, the tearing of the veil, so to speak, the virginhood, the hymen, leads to pregnancy. And what's pregnancy? It's one person having a shadow form develop inside of it. But this is the ultimate transformation. The sin of penetration and procreation, under the context of love, the serotonin that develops, the bond that develops, even against the pain that a person suffers throughout pregnancy, overcomes the pain. The love overcomes the pain, and it transmutes it. So a woman's womb, or the interior earth, or the blood, it's all alchemy. The woman's womb is a alchemical chamber where two ingredients, or three ingredients, semen, egg, and heat, transform to create life in the image of the container, in the image of the vessel. And that's the highest expression of Pluto, is the transformation of pain into pleasure. So when I look at this experience with my friends, and I see it, that under the square of Pluto, I had the pain, the suffering, the aggravation, the anger, the bitterness. And then under the trine, 4 months later, I had the pleasure of speaking out against everything that was really bothering my psyche. Because although it wasn't the same exact friends and the same exact situation, it was the same theme, the same experience overall. And I had the pleasure of leveling the playing field, so to speak. And that was that. So this is deep Pluto. I've never seen anybody associate Mars with womanhood, with pregnancy, with the alchemical transforming that happens in the womb, the physical womb, the psychic womb. And this is important to me. Now, I'm not done here. There is a second part where I'll speak about my own mother's experiences with her Pluto. So let's go to that. So here I have a journal entry. There's not much to it, but it's straight and to the point. On 7/16, 28 days ago, which is an entire lunar month, I took my mom for elective surgery. Now, one interesting synchronicity here, which shouldn't be amazing to people that are familiar with astrology, but on the outside looking in, it would be amazing, is that under the sign of Cancer, which is the sign that rules the breasts, my mom had to have surgery on her breasts. So I won't get into detail. I took her to the surgery, and what was the planetary configuration? Well, she was born on 1958, 10 days after Pluto entered Virgo. So for her, her natal Pluto would be at 0 degree Virgo. So where was the moon on 7/16? 25 degree Leo. In conjunction with her Pluto in Virgo. Off by 5 degrees. But it still counts. It was in a moving conjunction. And of course, over the next few days, over the next couple weeks, but especially within the next 24 hours, where the moon would have moved into an exact conjunction with her Pluto, I had to take care of her. And I did a better job than I usually do, because I know she's elderly and she can't, as much as she wants to be independent and do things on her own, I had to make sure that I helped her out. So I did that, and after about 2 weeks, she, basically back to normal, because it wasn't that big of a surgery. Now anyway, a month later, 28 days later, a lunar month later, 8/13, today. Well, yesterday she told me that her friend's mom, an elderly woman like her, fell. She lives alone. She fell in her house and she couldn't get up for a day and a half. She was alone until her grandson came and checked up on her. Now, we all know how those stories go. The worst of them go the way we don't want them to go. It's not until months later, because nobody thinks to check up on them. And then you find out that they're gone. Luckily, my mom's friend has a son that could check up on her, and found out that she was not okay. Who knows how much longer she could have lasted. You only last about 2 days without food and water. So I can imagine. Very close to death's door. So anyway, that touched my mom's heartstring, and my mom said, well, I have to help her. And she told me she'll be out all day today to help her friend get her mom situated, finding some healthcare, hospice service or whatever, moving her closer to get her taken care of. So I thought about that, and I'm sure you can connect the dot by now that what happened here on 8/13 at 7 a.m. when my mom left to meet up with my mom's friend, and take care of this situation. The moon was at 0° Virgo, right on her Pluto. Transformation. Because 1 month ago, she was in the situation where she needed help and assistance. Today, a month later, she's in the position to help someone else that, to the psyche, looks like her. Elderly, independent, but needing help. Now, the chart that I have here is a few hours after 7 a.m., so the moon's at 2° Virgo. I didn't feel like taking another screenshot because it's a pain in the ass to go through these browsers. But you get the picture. So, not much else to say here. Just another amazing glimpse into how the planets work, into how Pluto works. It makes me happy because I'm in love with psychology. I've read all the books that nobody reads. I read Carl Jung's first book, which I doubt people even know about it. Psychology of the Unconscious. I think it came out in like 1911 or somewhere around there. I've read all of them because I love it so much. And one of the hardest things to grasp is what exactly the terms mean, because you're dealing with an invisible thing. You only see the impressions of the psyche. There's no object that says, right here is what repression means. There's no object that says right here is what projection means. And that's why you run into these groups online, or You run into people who have all these different ideas or abstractions of what the shadow is or what these terms are. So right here, I'm able to put word to object, sublimation to Pluto. And not only that, but it transforms the idea of the Freudian sublimation, which is just, for him, pure instinct, base level, root level, self-preservation tactic. Take a bad and make it positive is the essence of what his sublimation is. Somebody who has a fascination with death becomes a butcher to take care of the impulses and the drives to kill things. This transforms that idea and it elevates it into a Jungian realm of self-evolution, of beauty and transformation, not for the sake of self-preservation, but for the sake of the soul. Where you see two examples of the type of transformation that Pluto offers in the everyday sense. It also elevates the astrological idea of Pluto as a rebirth or a phoenix planet. Because people in astrology like to dramatize the effects of the planets and lose sight of the realism. They'll tell you Pluto is a planet of rebirth. And you ask them, what does that mean? And they don't have an answer. They don't have an anchor. So right here, I have an anchor. Right here, I have something that point blank says A plus B equals C. It's almost mathematic. Because now I can say anytime a person's Pluto is active, or anytime the transit Pluto is active in the positive light, it's a time for sublimation, where you overcome the obstacle that you are under by helping somebody else through it. It's essentially, the way I could characterize it or picturize it is you're stepping out of the hole and you're giving a hand to somebody else and helping them out of the same hole you were in. That sums it up. Because that's how it was for me with my friend. And that's how it was for my mom and her friend, or her friend's mom. So essentially, where I started with talking about money, I'll end with talking about money. And I'll use a phrase that sums up what I think is the essence of positive Pluto. Passing the buck forward. It seems like Pluto's sublimest expression is to pass the buck forward.